Hey guys, today I will be reacting to the origin of the Pale Lady or Woman. She's a demonic entity or spirit that haunts people in their dreams and reality. Alright, I guess I will start the video.
Lucy Morgan was an artist. She had spent a week painting in a small country town and decided the next day she could move on. She would go to a village called Kingston. But that night, Lucy Morgan had a strange dream. She dreamed that she was walking up a dark carved staircase and entered a bedroom. It was an ordinary room except for two things. The carpet was made up of large squares that looked like trapdoors, and each of the windows was fastened with big nails that stuck up out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in this bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face two things. The carpet was made up of large squares that looked like trapdoors, and each of the windows was fastened with big nails that stuck up out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in this bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face. This is an evil place. Flee while you shriek. She lay awake the rest of the night, trembling. Despite the little information in her story, the dream, part of these unknown, has haunted the thoughts and dreams of horror fans for decades. But who is she? Where did she come from? Lore and sleepover stories come from. To find out how a legend is born and a monster walks among us, stick around to the end of this video. Welcome to Horror History. Few series in children's literature have remained as popular and as controversial as Alvin Schwartz's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Inspired by folklore, reimagined to film, and still topping banned book lists to this day, the Scary Stories series has dominated sleepovers for decades. And while the 3-book series features a full collection of frightening short-form tales, The Pale Lady of the Dream, published in Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones, remains one of the most puzzling and captivating creatures in stories. I'll be analyzing the timeline, but the timeline of the Pale Lady from the Scary Story series is as mysterious and twisted as her appearance. So today, we're digging 6 feet deeper. Is she a monster? Is she a spirit? Is she right behind me? I'll sort all this out on the other side of the horror history screen. In the story The Dream, a young woman, Lucy Morgan, receives a warning in her dream from a woman with a pale face, black eyes, and long black hair, telling her to flee that evil place. After a quick huddle with her landlady, Lucy moves to a different neighboring city, Dorset. She rents a room that's shockingly similar to the dark room from her dream, right down to the trapdoor carpet. Convincing herself it's all cool, she answers a knock at the door, only to have the Pale Lady from her dream on that page and a half of text. Let's start at the beginning. Schwartz usually leaves detailed background references and notes in the back of all 3 Scary Stories books, but for The Dream, he simply wrote, "This dream is a puzzle," which is kind of odd. Particularly in folklore. The stories included in his spine-tingling series are adaptations of tales retold around the globe, from children raised by wolves in Utah. The adapted pieces in Schwartz's books have a specific regional etymology. The Dream is one of Victorians were super into the supernatural. Everybody had a ghost story that they really believed. Joke. There were classic hauntings of headless soldiers roaming halls and knocks on doors you do not want to answer. Books in the Victorian era, including a 7-volume autobiography called The Story of My Life. Really getting creative with the title there, Augie. The book recounts nights spent inside of ghost rooms and portentous dreams which have inspired many horror works since his death in 1903, including a few others in the Scary Stories series. One example is Like Cat's Eyes, the tale of a wife caring for her ill husband who is frightened by the arrival of a hearse drawn by 4 horses. The Window is another example, and Augustus Hare's version has its own notoriety. Margaret found herself staring through the window at a shrunken face like that of a mummy. Its yellow-green eyes gleamed like a cat's eyes. She wanted to scream, but she was so frightened that she could not make a sound. The creature broke the window glass, unlocked the window, and crawled inside. It came across the room, and her terror was so great that she could not scream. And it came up to the bed and twisted its long, bony fingers into her hair, and it dragged her head over the side of the bed, and it bit her violently in the throat. However, the dream where we first meet the Pale Lady was not a direct retelling like The Window and Like Cat's Eyes. It's more of a reimagining of one of the many ghost tales included in Augustus Hare's mid-1800s autobiography. As the story goes, Mrs. Butler, while living later, she and her husband moved back to London, where she began searching for a home. Upon visiting an unusually low-priced manor, Mrs. Butler was shocked to discover that the house was her house from her dream. After purchasing it, they inquired as to why the price had been so low, to have been haunted. Very convenient of her to disclose that after the sale had already closed. But now, they had realized that Mrs. Butler had been the ghost all along. She was astral projecting in her sleep into the house years ago. It's an interesting concept, but still pretty far off from the story that we're familiar with from The Dream and Scary Stories. There's no mention of a pale lady, or a warning, or even a trapdoor carpet. But there is a woman dreaming of a house and moving cities only to end up in that very real domicile.
Alright, that's the end of today. See you in my next video, which is my birthday vlog.